You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk 1150 AM. Now, back to the show with local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell.
You are listening to The Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, February 26th show. You can also listen to my podcast, Facebook premiere, or you can catch my show on my show YouTube channel. In addition, for more information on my upcoming complimentary events, go to tinamitchellevents.com. I am your host and local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. And I'm here to help you build a strong financial blueprint 1 week and one show at a time. If you are hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. I'm here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that I have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And now in studio, Joshua Meeks of the PNW Team, raising the standard in real estate right here on 1150 AM KKNW. Joshua, really excited to have you on the show. I know you've had huge success in your business since you transitioned into real estate. You've got an amazing team, and I was really excited to see that you took me up on my offer to book a spot because I really wanted to get you in front of my listeners. So as I start up my conversation with you today, tell me a little bit about your business, Joshua.
Well, we are partnered with Keller Williams. That's the brokerage where we hang our license. I have an expansion office just outside of Keller Williams Puyallup, up here in Lake Tapps area. So we're kind of centered right here between Auburn, Fife, and the Puyallup Sumner area. We right here in our office have a team of 19 people. I think actually 20 people now. So full service team, full service admin, and have really just made it our mission to raise the standard in real estate with people-focused, performance-driven service that brings joy to our clients and value to our community. So that's been what's continued to drive us, and being able to do that with a full team of agents and incredible support staff is a ton of fun.
Yeah, when you can see your passion in what you do, Joshua, and again, with your success in business, a lot of that has to be credited to the fact that you have that support team behind you, so you can really focus on serving your clients at the highest level. So Joshua, how did you, I'm sure, I know we've talked a little bit about stories that connect you to real estate, but let's go in a little more detail on that and what made you decide to start in your real estate practice?
Well, I actually, I thought I was going to be a youth pastor when I was younger. After I decided I couldn't be a fish, and I got to an age where I understood what a career looked like. It's at the age of 14. As soon as I really decided, I can look ahead and say, here's what I want to be in life. I had a desire to be a youth pastor, so I pursued that for about the first, almost 10 years of my life. While I was in construction, while I was graduating high school, while I was taking jobs as they were coming, I became a union carpenter as soon as I turned 17. Senior year in high school, was going to high school, college, and working a full-time job as a commercial carpenter, and really just invited work and opportunity into my life as soon as possible. Continued to work up kind of through commercial construction. Had a ton of fun doing that, building large buildings, bridges, sky rises, retail centers between Bellevue, Seattle, Ballard, Tacoma, Puyallup, Bonnie Lake area. Spent years doing that, and then wrapped up the last job as I was finishing up my business degree, doing night classes. Wrapped that up around 2013. I was, going to school full-time over at Northwest University while working, 50, 60, 70-hour weeks sometimes, and finished up that season and kind of took some time to look up and say, what does it mean to find what I'm passionate about, to serve people in that process, to see it as ministry, and to kind of just look at the way God's made me and created the opportunity around me and say, what does that look like? And for me, that was looking back a little further in life and realizing that real estate's been one of those areas that I've been personally involved in for a long time, where I find myself really getting excited to help, to serve people, and to provide opportunity both for our team and for others through, as you stated earlier, one of the biggest financial decisions that they'll make in their life. So like a lot of people started off saying, if I could just help one person or two people or 10 people, and that's grown a lot since then, to being able to serve the Pacific Northwest with our team.
Yeah, that's great. I always, my intent every day is to wake up and be an inspiration to just one person. It's the intent to a little bit better than I was yesterday. And if I can do that, my day's a success. And that makes sense in how you bring ministry into your description of what you do. And I love that. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about in our panel conversation of being your authentic self and bringing in who you are and even the words that you use. It means even more to me now that I've heard the story behind that. So that's beautiful. And I believe that there are many different career paths that we can take. There's not one career path that we should take. There are many that we can be very successful at. It's bringing in our authentic self and our overall passion, which doesn't actually have necessarily something to do directly to what we're doing. It's the overall picture and bringing that into what we decide to do in our career. And as you have, and many of us have, we've had more than one successful career in our journey in life. So thank you so much for that. So talk a little bit about the areas that you serve now.
So right now, if you put a dot in Lake Tapps where our office is, if anybody's kind of local to the area, we are working and operating out of the building that used to be called Lake Tapps Medicine, where it was a little doctor's office for about 40 years in this community. So they know it fairly well. But if you draw a circle of around 45 miles around the radius of our office, that's really the area that we primarily serve as our hub. So that's Pierce County, King County, Thurston, Snohomish, a little Kitsap once in a while, Kittitas getting out there. And then as we continue to see demand grow and as we've seen opportunity outside of Washington State, we're now opening up a branch in Arizona as well. I'm personally licensed in Florida and Kentucky, but as far as our business goes, we're focusing on Washington within these kind of 5 or 6 main counties, and then just starting to kind of dive into the expansion market in Arizona as well.
Congratulations on the continued growth outside of Washington State.
Thank you.
Very exciting for you, I'm sure. So Joshua, in a market of over 34,000 real estate agents, talk a little bit about how you set yourself apart, because very few agents see the success that you have seen. So definitely you're doing something different than the 34,000 real estate agents.
Yeah, a lot of agents out in the community in Western Washington, and we our goal as somebody who really wants to raise the standard in real estate is to see everybody in the industry doing well and wanting to inspire and encourage and provide kind of systems that help other people elevate their business as well. But a lot of it goes back to the conversation of genuinely being who we are, and then asking questions to our clients, which is where we've seen tremendous success. People are attracted to the agents that are on our team because they're comfortable being them within an industry that has a demand for people like them without trying to just make each person another salesperson, right? Allowing them to be their authentic selves, and then asking our clients what's important and kind of filling out what are the pain points of the market. It's an intense market for buyers right now. It's a rewarding and overwhelming market for sellers right now. And most of our success has been us just coming to our clients and saying, what's important to you? Why is that important to you? How can we meet that need? And we find by being our true self and getting to know who our clients are, not just seeing them as another transaction, that's gone a long, long way on helping our clients. That's the reason the average agent might close 5 or 6 transactions, and most of the people on our team are closing a lot more than that, because they're inviting people into their world and offering value that isn't normal in our industry when it comes to all the way from field services, not just normal transaction coordinating and kind of keeping people updated on the process, but saying, how can I show up to your house and help put carbon monoxide detectors in your house or seismic straps? How can we help prep a little curb appeal to get your listing looking good? How can we help you as a buyer really take a minute and decide, like, is it going to be a win for you to get an offer accepted on this house, and what would create a win? And that's been what's worked really well for us.
Yeah, and we didn't have a topic today on being your authentic self. The conversation has just definitely gone in that direction, which is really exciting, because I think that's one of the biggest things that you can share today in being successful. You have to be your best self to be best for others. In order to be your best self, so you can be best for others, you must lead with your authenticity, which will then bring out your passion, which will then inspire people and motivate people to take action. And the expertise is a given that you need to have that. But I think being your authentic self, even with a less expertise, you can win from some of the experienced agents that are not being their authentic self, because that's first and foremost most important. And then you'll lead with confidence, and the expertise follows through that process.
Yeah.
So thank you, Joshua, for that. So let's talk about your forecast or your vision in where you see our real estate market going.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest question that's come up
Yeah.
sitting down with sellers and buyers is it a good time
And
to
it
sell?
always is, right? I mean,
Yep.
no matter what market we're in, it's always the biggest question. Yeah.
It is. I think it's just maybe a little bit more of possibly of an emotional conversation for buyers. I mean, if you're out there right now and you're a buyer trying to get an offer accepted, like, man, my heart's with you, right? Also, our talent is with you if we have the opportunity to serve you, and our team's leverage is with you. But when you look ahead in the market, buyers want to know, like, it feels like I'm competing hard for a house. Am I going to regret that in 3, 6, 12 months? And you touched on this a little bit before, but I mean, when you look back at 2007, 2008, there was 14 months of inventory on the market. Like, I think you said 3.5 million homes that were available nationally. And when you compare those stats to where we are now, nationally, we might be at a month and a half inventory. In our local market in most of Western Washington, we're looking at like a week and a half of inventory, like, 0.3 months of inventory. So I think
if you're listening, that means if we don't have any more homes that go on the market, we are going to completely run out of inventory in a week and a half, correct?
Yep. And across the nation, we see like people like just fighting dog eat dog over trying to get an offer accepted, emotional ties, contingencies waived, earnest money non-refundable, a lot of huge decisions to try to find the right place to have a home. And based on the demand that we're seeing, based on even the trajectory that the Fed could increase rates a little bit, it could impact interest rates. It's very likely that we're going to see more demand than supply for the next 2 or 3 years. And if that's the case, that continues to put buyers in a position of knowing it'll be tough. I'm going to fight to get an offer accepted, but I'm still going to be able to look back and thank myself that I made a good decision. And then, obviously a lot of sellers are reaching out too. Some of them are moving out of state, and it's never a bad time to sell in our market. And this kind of dynamic can move to a different market if that's where your family, your job, vocation, your desires, whatever else is leading you. But it looks, if I could summarize it, very highly likely that in the next 2 to 3 years, we'll continue to see more demand than supply. And that'll continue to keep us in a buyer's market. The caveat of, anything outside of the economic numbers that we can see right in front of us. But this is how most economists, most real estate agents, a lot of lenders are looking at the industry and saying, well, this gives us the confidence based on not just, emotion or hearsay or hype, but based on actual numbers. This is likely where the market's heading, a continual seller's market for the next year or two, maybe 3.
Yeah, when they pulled the top economist, on the low end, and I don't have the data in front of me, so I might be off a little bit on the low end. The very conservative said next year 6% appreciation. The ones that were in the middle said 12%, and the ones that were in the high were 18%. So definitely in our local market, I mean, there's the challenge of being able to get more inventory, and then you take the increase of interest rates as well. When people are sitting at a 2.5% interest rate, and the interest rates are 4%, they're going to maybe rethink about buying versus just taking equity out of their home. So there's all kinds of impacts there that are going to affect the real estate market. The other thing to think about is you really never lose in real estate unless you're forced to sell in a bad market and you're not reinvesting at that same time. So, look, if you bought your home at the top of the market and then we had that crash right after, it didn't matter. You weren't planning on selling your home there.
Yeah.
You didn't lose any money, and now look at where things went. So shout out to people that are thinking about, wow, I don't know about this. Am I going to end up in a crash situation? Not likely, but even if there was an adjustment in the market, unless you plan on selling and not reinvesting at the same time, you have not lost anything. So Joshua, let's talk about Washington and what you see as far as people moving in and moving out of Washington state.
Yeah, and just to kind of touch on that last conversation too, real quick, like we bought our first house in 2008. Our interest rate was 6 3/8, and I thought that was pretty wonderful. We saw the market adjust a little bit, and we said this is now a great time to buy. We bought our first house; it was a complete fixer-upper for $253,000. And then as we invested $30,000 to $40,000 into equity, we watched the value decrease down to $170. And we held on to that property. We held on it for years. We eventually bought another property. We turned that one into a rental. And we sold that property, like, I think it was 12 years later or so for $330,000.
Yeah.
Today, that house is
Yeah.
worth about $480,000. But in that moment, when we bought it for $253, and you're experiencing the equity not being there, and you're experiencing, being in that position. I mean, the months of inventory was like 10, 12 months when we purchased that home. I didn't understand what that meant. But we held on that home, and the long-term game was absolutely holding onto that property, and it worked
when you've
out
gone
well.
through that emotional piece as well, it will never hit me like it did before, because I know that I'm not going to lose money in real estate. We bought ours in December of 2004 for $1,050,000, and it got down to about $700,000, and I was freaking out.
Yeah.
And we're almost 2.5 now. So I mean, it's it just as if you don't plan on reinvesting. You're selling. So great shout out there. So Joshua, what do you see going in Washington coming in?
So we through the COVID area, the great reshuffle, right? There's a lot of industries, jobs, vocations, homes changing. COVID impacted significantly the way people see their home, seeing it as the place where they're providing their work, entertainment, schooling, recreation, like a lot of stuff coming back to that taking place in the home. And that changed the perspective people had on what they wanted out of their home. We're also seeing a lot of people, because of political decisions and financial decisions, decide that they're taking a second look at where they want to be. But we're seeing a lot of people move from highly urban areas to more rural areas, or more, less urban areas, from urban areas out to more rural areas. And a lot of people that were living in more rural areas that even bought 6, 12, 18 months with us are now moving out of state. So there's this consistent cycle and shuffle of a lot of people basically just moving to an environment where they have a little bit more room, a little bit more space, a little bit more privacy, and certainly seeing a ton of people moving to Arizona, Texas, Idaho, Montana, Florida, Kentucky, Tennessee. And at the same time, seeing an influx of people come from places like California, other states, up to Washington. So a lot of people coming in, a lot of people going out, and a lot of people within Washington that are deciding that as they are here, that what they want out of a home and how comfortable they're being from the city is changing. So it's been fun to have those conversations with people. And some of them, they buy and sell with us literally 9 months later. We're like, never mind, this isn't what I wanted, because circumstances change and desires change. So that's been, we feel humbled to be a part of that journey for people, where like anytime, again, family, job, society, whatever it is that's putting pressure on them, we get to be there having those big conversations with them of why is that important and how can we plan ahead.
Yeah, makes sense. Joshua, I had a list of questions I wanted to go over with you, but we're just having a great in-depth conversation on a fewer questions, which is a huge benefit for people that are listening to the show. But I want to have one more thing, just give a shout out on the best way to connect with you for my listeners that are looking at buying or selling real estate and want to work with one of the best in their local market. Yeah,
you can find us at the PNWteam.com, and you can see our full team and staff there.
Wonderful. Joshua, thank you so much for coming into studio, and I look forward to having you back again in the future.
Thank you.